be more informed on things. Make the choice to make friends with somebody on the other side of the aisle.
We're continuing our conversation with Missy Sorg, discussing political differences and how we can resolve and get into this, out of the problem and get into the solution. We treat people with courtesy and respect. Most people, unfortunately, Missy, listen to respond. They do not listen to learn.
That is accurate. And I think that, again, we've kind of enabled that as a society through things like social media. You talk into your little echo chamber and you sound, you've beat your chest and you've been pumped up by your followers. But again, it's an echo chamber. Multiply that across people with a larger platform, like our representatives and our elected officials, and it becomes that much more. I will be the first one to say, I don't think that Donald Trump is a nice person. I didn't vote for him because I think he's a nice person. I voted for him because he's a businessman. I voted for him because I was looking for an alternative and he was saying the right things at the time.
Looking at what's going on now, he's in business for himself.
And even Republicans are saying that. So like that's not anything that's both parties can agree on. With regard to his opponent in this last election, I felt that was kind of disingenuous myself personally. The populace elected Joe Biden, and then Joe Biden had some obvious health issues going on and some perceived mental health issues going on. And that was something that as Republicans, we're looking at it going, you guys see this, right? And you're still putting him up on the ballot. Like what's going on? And then he did step down. And did you vote for a replacement for him? I'm presuming you're a registered Democrat.
Oh,
so
yes.
you said this. Okay.
Yes, I can't be a registered socialist. There is not a designation.
There's not a designation for that. Yes. Well, I mean, there is, but
Yeah,
but you don't get to vote in primaries with that.
No, Democrat, Republican, Green, and Libertarian. Those are the only four parties you can register for in Pennsylvania.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I just learned something new. So even as far as like being a registered Democrat and voting, did you have an option to vote to replace Joe Biden as your candidate in the primary?
I don't know how the logistics on that could have been made possible. I don't think that's ever happened before when a candidate has dropped out of the race that close to election day.
No, and that's what I'm saying. It's like it's a situation and a circumstance that I understand why it did. But if that were the case, obviously Joe Biden was mentally and physically diminished in some capacities. Well, why was that not? Why was he?
You'd have to give me a reasonable mechanism where that could be done.
And that's the problem with it. And that's kind of where I'm getting at it with. It's one of those things where our founding fathers wrote the Constitution, setting up our country in the way that they did. I don't think that our forefathers could have imagined what the world is today. I don't think that they could have imagined social media. I don't think that they could have imagined any of the stuff that we have going on at this point.
What they did was they set certain unalienable rights, the exact words.
Absolutely, and that's just it. And the first one is free speech, which is why we can have this conversation today. It's why a lot of people can carry their signs whichever way they're going on things, and it's permitted. I support people being able to free speech and be able to say their piece. What I don't agree with is people who take that and, again, actions have reactions.
Absolutely.
So if you're out there causing trouble and causing destruction to businesses or private property, you are not above the repercussions of that.
Of course.
And that's, I think, another thing that kind of we've gotten away from with regard to things is people look and say, oh, well, they were protesting, or the mostly peaceful protests with literally burning buildings in, I believe it was Minneapolis or something like that, in like 2020 era. You're seeing that sort of thing going on, mostly peaceful. How can it be mostly peaceful if the city's literally on fire behind us, like type of situation? And again, I'm not saying that I have unnecessary.
I don't, absolutely do not agree that you can explain behavior that never excuses it. But however, we're dealing with generations of not being heard.
That's it.
Generations of not being heard, being dismissed, being marginalized.
I understand that. And I guess the question becomes on that. I feel that my voice is diminished and my voice is marginalized.
Because of your designation as a Republican, because they have already painted you out to be like some other people, and that you are nowhere in the same universe as those people.
Well, I appreciate that.
No, you are not capricious. You are not cruel. You are not demanding. You are not vain.
I appreciate all of that. I really do.
I'm painting somebody else's that.
No, and I will completely agree that I feel that our president.
You have none of those qualities. None.
No.
Zero.
No, and I appreciate that.
I'm not saying that because I just to make you feel good.
No, I know.
It's true.
I know, and I do appreciate that. And this is why I'm grateful that when I suggested that we have this conversation for this particular reason. Not that you could validate me. I'm not asking, and you're not validating me, but you're giving me an opportunity to talk about the differences that we have. And like I said, and anything that I am bringing up, I have questions. And it's okay. It's more of I see this happening. Why is this happening this way when it should be happening this way? Or why aren't these people being included? Or why isn't this being part of the discussion? You know me, I like to have organization. I like to have.
So how can we all get back together? How can we all get relatively playing on the same team? And it seems today that if you're on one side or the other, you have to absolutely disagree vehemently with every word that comes out of that other person's mouth.
Yeah, and that's not what it should be.
We need to have active listening.
And that's what I was just going to say is we need to listen, we need to hear. And like you said before, it's to listen with the intent of listening, not with the intent to respond.
So we have stimulus and we have response. Unfortunately, most of the time, it's like two pipe cleaners wrestling with each other. You get stimulus. You get a stimulus, which is person, place, thing, or situation, some news event, some person saying something, and immediately you go to the response. So by helping people have critical thinking, by developing that brief pause before response, the stimulus and the response, that's where choice lives. That's where freedom is.
And I think that that's an important takeaway that a lot of people are missing at this point.
Republican.
Yeah, well, Democrat. Like I said, I mean, we're sitting here, we're joking about this, but this is something that's.
And again, it's contempt prior to investigation. And the way I explain this to particularly patients is, what is contempt prior to investigation? I says, well, let's give this an example. Do you like broccoli? No, I hate broccoli. Have you ever eaten broccoli? No.
Yeah. And that's, again, I think that a lot of people are getting their information from their group of friends online or their group of friends within person without actually having any experience or knowledge with regard to what's actually happening. And I think that this is important that we educate ourselves and educate others in some capacity.
Nobody ever wins an argument. It's like war. no one ever wins. When you have an argument to win it, you have to prove the other person wrong. You have to be better than they are. I don't need to be right all the time, Missy.
I don't want to be right all the time, because what good does that do?
Yes.
Then I come across as a pompous, pretentious know-it-all. And the other thing is, I don't like to argue with people. I hate arguing with people. On social media, I manage social media accounts for some of the Republican candidates that I work with, and for some of the Republican organizations that I work with. And there are some people that just respond to respond. And it's always, there's a couple of accounts that I can, like clockwork. If I post something, they're going to have a response to it. They're either going to respond in the comments, or they're going to share it and they're going to comment with a share.
There's people who make a profession out of looking to be offended.
Well, what I've told the people that I work with, because they make the question, we should just block this guy. So don't, because then you're validating him. He's going to go tell all of his friends, oh, look, they blocked me on social media because blah, 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 blah. And I said, all you're going to do is validate. I said, the other thing is just wait, just be patient, just let it go. I said, if it crosses a certain line where there is gross profanity, or if there is egregious, like, name calling that falls within a certain grouping of terminology or threats, those are the things that I will escalate and report. However, I found that our community comes in and says, hey, buddy, here's the information that you're looking for to correct this. There was one post on X that I was getting notifications that there were people responding to this one particular post. And this is like days, almost a week later after I'd posted it on X. And it was these two people having a conversation back and forth. And it was one person negatively arguing, and it was the other person was putting forth, this is the data that you're looking for. Like, this is the data that corroborates what they're talking about. And it was just kind of an interesting thing to kind of see that our audience came to our defense. We didn't need to. Not that I want our audience to do that, but it kind of, again, broadens the discussion and opens it up, that it's not just me saying what I'm thinking. It's other people that are saying, no, I've looked at the data on that. I've looked at the research on that, and this is what we're seeing. This is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm finding.
Spirituality is a personal connection with something. And I thought, how could we possibly contribute more to people's lives like we're doing on the show? And as a result, I've made the choice to become an ordained minister. And as so, I am legally authorized to perform marriages in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Why choose our services over an established mansion of wood and stone? What we do is we offer a non-religious, spiritual-based, mindfulness-based type of bonding of two souls. We are based in the Pittsburgh area, however, am willing to travel and am open to any type of suggestions that would suit you and yours. Our goal is to make this day as easy as possible for both of you, and have no worries. Let us handle the ceremony. Please contact the show for our rates and whatever we can possibly do to make that moment in time special for you and to create memories. For those of you who may be interested, a number of years ago, I was up in Boston, and lovely place, especially in the summer. I wouldn't want to be there in the winter. And Missy, it's the only place in the United States that has a more convoluted road system than Pittsburgh does.
Yeah, been to Boston a couple of times. I will agree.
So I was looking at where Patrick Henry was buried, Benjamin Franklin's parents, and I thought about a Declaration of Independence and having people create their own Declaration of Independence, what they would like to declare independence from. So what would you like to declare independence from?
I'd like to declare independence from stupidity. I'm kidding about that.
No, I don't think that's something. I think that's a noble goal.
Okay, fair. Then I'll roll in with that. Yeah, I think that, myself, I don't have a whole lot of interaction on my own personal social media, because I deal with so much externally with all the accounts that I work with that
Well,
it's
according to a lot of people, you're already in bed with the enemy.
oh yeah, absolutely. Which is funny because my husband's a Democrat. He loves when I bring this up. I'm so sorry, Sorg. But that's the thing is, yeah, I'm okay with letting people have their own opinions and their own differences with things. I don't need to engage with people to prove a point or call them, wrong or something. I will share this really funny story. I have a really good friend of mine that we've been friends for a really long time. And again, I don't out myself as a Republican very often. And the fact that I'm doing this it's not comfortable for me to talk about, but it's something that I, again, do think that we need to talk about is our differences and such. So he was saying some things that I knew he was a Democrat based on the conversation. And he wasn't saying anything negatively. It was just different things that he was saying. I was putting those together and okay. So he's making this comment, and I think it was a comment about Trump or something, and it could have been a far worse comment than what he had made. And I just start smiling, and he looks at me and he's like, "What are you smiling about? Like, I don't know what's happening here." And we were in a place where I didn't want to have like sitting across from him and just say this. So I walked over, I gave him a hug at the end of the evening, and real close in his ear, kind of, Captain America when they would go, "Hail Hydra," in their ear. I leaned in, I said, "I'm a Republican." He literally pushed me back and he looked at me and I could see he's processing, his brain is processing what I just said to him. And he literally did. He pushed me away. And he didn't push me away, but he was so shocked by what I had just told him. And I felt safe outing myself. And this was just after COVID. So like we had a bunch of political division after COVID. And this was within that time frame. And again, I had conversations with other people that they unfollowed me on social media. They blocked me out of their lives. I no longer talk to them type of situation. I knew this guy wasn't going to be this situation. He was just so shocked he didn't know how to respond. So a few days later, I saw him again. And he comes up to me and he says, "I need to apologize to you." I was like, "For what, buddy? Like, we're good. What do you need to apologize for?" And he said, "You told me that. And it blew my mind. Like, I never thought that you were a Republican. I didn't realize. And when you said that, it was just so it was so unexpected. I never, and I'm like, dude, it's good." I said, "I told you because I wasn't expecting that response necessarily, but I knew that we could have a conversation like we're having right now." And I said, "It took you a couple of days to process things, but you've processed it. We're cool. We're still good friends and all is good." So he's like, "I have some questions for you." Shoot. "Did you vote for Trump?" "I did." "He's such a garbage human being. How could you vote for him?" I said, "Well, at the time, he was running against Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton was a representative back in New York State. I lived in New York State, and I saw some of the legislation and stuff that she did, which wasn't really a whole lot. And I also really wasn't a fan of her husband. So on paper, and I said, looking at what she was talking about doing and what he was talking about doing, I felt that he was the better candidate." And I said, "To clarify, I'm not voting for him as the nice person. I'm not voting for him based on his personality. I understand he can be a garbage human being. Like, I totally get that. But that's not what I was voting on. I was voting on who has the best resume for this particular job." And when I put it in that perspective, he was like, "I still don't agree with it, but I don't hate you." And he gave me a big hug. So it's I wish that we could get back to a society where that is more prevalent than just completely shutting each other out.
Well, social media has developed a recency bias with people That's when they're influenced by the last thing that they see, hear, or read. That's the thing that they stick with in their mind. And it comes as a result of developing a short attention span because of these 15-second sound bites. It used to be what, Twitter would only have 140 characters.
Oh yeah, they've expanded that now. You can pay for the expansion. But that's the thing is everything is so instantaneous now that it's overwhelming. And I think that, when they talk about children should have less screen time, I think that could apply to adulthood as well. I said the magic words right there. I know, as a social media manager, who would have think? But I think that that's part of the thing that we can look at is I like to tell people, take your shoes off and go touch some grass.
Well, I have no problem with people using social media, a lot of things, when it is a treatment. But when it becomes maintenance, then you have an issue. What I'm talking about, these doom scrolling for 3 hours. If you're going to use it as I'm going to give myself a reward and watch some screwy YouTube videos or some funny TikToks for 20 minutes. Using as there's a reason that we give children dessert after their meal.
And that is a very good way of putting that. And that is really sage advice. I do think that we all, as a society, spend way too much time on our devices. And like Sorg can attest to this. Within the last, I started in January reading actual physical books again. And I have just completely obliterated the entire Dungeon Crawler Carl series in a short period of months. Just got the new book a few weeks ago, and I've been really busy, so I haven't been reading as much. But when I sit down and I read at night versus doom scrolling, I sleep better. I have a better outlook on things, and life is just so much easier.
You're talking about sleep hygiene. A good solid night's sleep is better than any medication ever brewed.
Amen to that.
Yes. So, what's a message you'd like to give to our audience?
Be more open than what you are. I'm going to go back to that bell curve thing. The majority of the people that you deal with on a day-to-day basis are in the upper part of this bell. The voices that we're hearing on either side are these minimal on the side of this bell. And it's the loudest contingent of both sides of the spectrum. So you have your far, 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 far left people over here. You have your far, 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 far right people over here. And those are the people that we're hearing most of the messaging from on social media, picketing with regard to different things. And the majority of these people in the middle are just like, you know what? I don't want to be sucked into this stuff. I just want to be able to function in a normal society.
Making a choice.
Exactly. So make the choice to be more informed on things. Make the choice to make friends with somebody on the other side of the aisle. You'd likely have friends on the other side of the aisle that you're not familiar with, that you're not aware that they are, because much like me, they're staying hidden with things. And that could be both Democrats and Republicans. That could be socialists. That can be libertarians. That could be, whatever the gamut is. Have conversations with people and talk to them instead of just assuming things. Assumption is, my mom used to tell me, don't assume anything because it makes an ass out of you and me. and that's something that I think is important with regard to this entire discussion.
Yes, we can't assume, because we can't assume that people are aware of how you think, how you feel, and what your needs are. We have to let them know. And we'll kind of end this conversation, although I think we'll probably have another one, Missy. Even though you're a Republican, I love you, honey.
You know what? You are getting a hug, mister.
Thank you. I could do that every day. So, at the end of every podcast, what we do is we offer a free prescription, and that's fruits, nuts, and vegetables. And unplug your television and take up fishing. And for a truly mindful experience, we ask you to fish without bait, and do a kindness for another, and do a kindness for yourself. Forgive another, and forgive yourself. Till all are free, none are free. And if we're all not the Creator's children, then none of us are. Until then, namaste.
Please check out our website at fishingwithoutbait.com, where you can listen to the show, comment on our discussions, and find out where you can subscribe to our podcast. If you're interested in flying the colors of Fishing Without Bait, click the shop icon on our website. We have clothing, mugs, cell phone cases, and so much more. Show the world that you fish without bait. This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com.